Tom Shillue in for Greg on this very special edition of Gutfeld. Let's start with some headlines. This weekend, Spain hosted the annual running of the bulls, followed quickly by the driving of the ambulances and the carrying of the stretchers. A Chinese woman in Las Vegas pled guilty to marrying at least 14 men at the same time. When asked if she knew what she did was wrong, she responded, "I do." The largest complete T-Rex skeleton just sold at auction, and it's 67 million years old. It's also been hired as the newest correspondent on 60 Minutes. A woman recently gave birth to a baby boy on the New Jersey Turnpike. She immediately took advantage of the situation by turning into the carpool lane. A Florida man is being ordered to undergo a psychosexual evaluation after being caught having sex with a vacuum cleaner. Even worse, he was cheating on his blender at the time. Journalist Nick Shirley exposed an adult daycare in Queens, New York that can't explain how they billed for 7,000 patients, which means he's either found massive amounts of fraud or the only Asians who are bad at math. Scientists are blaming a new magic mushroom for causing its users to hallucinate and see a tiny gnome. Either that or they're tuning into Fox News at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah. All right. To the steering monologue. So once again, the Dems are saying the same thing as Don Lemon. We need to bring back men. The Atlantic dropped this article titled "The Return of the Democratic Manly Man." In it, they profile their latest savior, an Ohio Dem running to flip a Republican House seat with a last name that screams masculinity, Brian Poindexter. No, not the guy from Revenge of the Nerds. This guy's a union iron worker who wears a hard hat, drives a pickup, and proudly says, quote, "There's nothing wrong with being masculine. It's okay to be a manly man." This, they say, is who will bring back the dudes that fled the party like Greg when it's time to give out Christmas bonuses. But wait, haven't we seen this kind of piece a dozen times before? Every year it's the same pattern. The Dems say they have a man problem. Then they hunt for a candidate who's gruff, curses, and has a beard like Rashida Tlaib. Remember when Tim Walz was their answer? But even Tim was like, wouldn't Randy Weingarten be a better choice? Doug Emhoff was sold as the antidote to toxic masculinity. Unfortunately, though, he had an insatiable appetite for hot nannies. And of course, there's Graham Plattner, the bearded oyster farmer whose reputation caused such a furor. Unfortunately, this strategy never works out. Why? Because it's all fake. Dems try to sell their idea of masculinity, beards and blue-collar work, while still embracing the same ideas that drove men away in the first place: open borders, defund the police, bail reform, gender ideology. At the same time, Dems never reckoned with how they portrayed men. Years of nonstop lectures about toxic masculinity and the patriarchy. And now, Democrats think running a dude in a hard hat will magically bring them back. Meanwhile, President Trump understands how to embrace masculinity, and it's not just through his policies. Yesterday, President Trump partied with IndyCar drivers at the White House ahead of their race in Washington. Then he watched as crews demonstrated the first ever White House pit stop. Meanwhile, in New York, Mayor Zohran Mamdani went racing around in a golf cart. A go-kart. Oh, there we go. Look at that. He thought he was doing Days of Thunder, but it looked more like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Do you see the difference? Trump doesn't try to appeal to men. He just does what any dude would do if they were president. Race cars, UFC fights, gold everywhere. So how can Dems win dudes back? Well, maybe they can learn from a woman. That's Michigan Congresswoman Haley Stevens, who's running for Senate. So, what are you going to do for us?
What am I going to do for us? I'm going to be articulating on our behalf. I am going to be working on our behalf. I am going to be telling the stories on our behalf. And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them. Because that's the Michigan way.
I kind of like her. Oh, my gosh. Maybe Democrats can learn something from her gusto, because it's not about finding a candidate who looks like the most masculine man in America today. It's about actually understanding men and their lives, and until they figure out that every search to find the next manly man will end the same way, just a few Y chromosomes short. Welcome tonight's guest. Every time he talks, dogs that are 100 miles away start howling. Comedian Joe Mackey. He looks like an accountant, but makes love like an accountant. CEO and co-founder of the Federalist, John David. Her baby is already bigger than Greg. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Timpf. And Trump just renamed the Atlantic Ocean the Gulf of Tyrus. Former NWA world champion and host of the Planet Tyrus podcast. Okay, Mackie, you are speaking for Americans, red-blooded, barrel-chested, the men of America. That's you all the way. What are the Dems missing about masculinity?
Well, first of all, Tom, I think Haley Stevens could beat the crap out of me, and I would love it.
She'd do it with gusto.
Yeah, I mean, she's a hell of a manly lady. Wow. But I'll say this: you can't fake masculinity. The chest hair keeps coming unglued when I flex. But you know, it's one of those things. This reminds me of the music industry in the early '90s. The hair bands were very inauthentic, and then Nirvana and Pearl Jam came along, and people really bought into that. There was this huge paradigm shift in the industry, but all the industry saw was the surface. All they saw was the flannel shirts. So instead of going for more authenticity, they went for like more people who were wearing flannel shirts, and it became more about the flannel shirts. So instead of getting more Alice in Chains-like bands, you got Silverchair and Collective Soul, and it was another copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a fraud. And when you're a working class man, you're being told by the Democrat Party, while you keep losing ground financially and socially, that it's your fault. You really don't care if the person telling you that drives a Ram truck.
So true. You can't fake. Yeah, they're looking for authenticity, the one thing that you can't fake. Sean, the article talks about this guy Poindexter scarfing down a Reuben sandwich. Like, that was a detail we couldn't resist. Reuben is a very masculine sandwich, isn't it?
It's obviously the manliest of the sandwiches.
Yes.
I think we all know that. I think the problem Democrats have is everyone knows they authentically hate men. And when you hate men, men don't want to be a part of your party. And so they've so lost men. There's no normal men left, that they're left to go to Nazi tattoo, kind of rapey guys like Graham Plattner and, you know, your effeminate vegan turbo twinks, James Tallarico in Texas. They've got nothing left. So their problem is not who they're running. It's not what they're saying. It's that they just hate dudes. And we know they hate dudes.
Yeah. And there's, I mean, what are we going to, you know, it's not like we can help them at this point, Kat. I mean, he mentioned Tallarico is another one who wasn't in the monologue. Beto, remember when Beto was going to be the man to save the Democrat Party? They keep coming up with these guys. What are they missing? I mean, Graham Plattner actually did have masculine energy, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little too strong.
Yeah, exactly. He was like the toxic masculinity they were trying to say Republicans were the whole time, right, Kat?
Yeah. It's a fine line between a flannel shirt and rapist.
Yeah.
They can't, they can't seem to find that balance.
Exactly.
He had a beard. He wore a flannel. What more do you need?
He doesn't accept no.
Yeah, I don't. Look, I love masculine men. I love a man or a woman in a flannel shirt. But for me personally, what bothers me about these candidates is not that they're not masculine enough. It's that they want to control my life too much. I would vote for a man in a dress with false eyelashes if he would cut my taxes and let me have a gun.
Wow. They might be going there next. Yeah.
That can be arranged.
I mean, mayor of New York, drag queen who lets me have a gun, I will campaign for you.
It may happen. Okay, Tyrus, you've heard from Shillue. You heard from Mackey.
Right.
You heard from Sean Davis.
Uh-huh.
You also have many masculine qualities.
Oh, do I?
In
Wow.
addition to us three men. I mean, you
guys set the bar real
I know,
high.
that's
And they were so masculine, they wouldn't even sleep with a woman until their late 30s because it just wasn't fair to the ladies.
Yes.
I ruined them for other men.
Yeah.
Look, I think Mackey made a good point about the bands. I mean, that was like, authenticity is something they're going for. And in order to try to get authenticity, they try to fake it up.
Well, they're not going for authenticity because, first of all, to the Poindexter dude, nobody says it's okay to be a manly man. That's a red flag right there.
You don't say that?
No, I
You and all
never
your
said,
buddies?
hey, fellas, let's go lift weight like manly men. That's something you ask at a different kind of bar for a different kind of service. Or like a manly man, please. So the problem is they're not looking for anything real. They're looking for actors to audition for a role that they tell them what to do. Plattner auditioned and he fit the role, but no one bothered to do a background check. So they're just looking for someone to fill the role. They like the AOC types that they have auditions, and if they play the role, then they tell them what to do, and then they get in the office and they don't do anything. I don't think she's still passed the law yet. So it's not just men. And they say there are good left-leaning men out there, but they don't want a man to be out there. They don't want an alpha male because when they say, hey, I want you to do this, you'll be like, no. You know, that's what they like the Kamala and they like the Newsom. They put you in position, they give you money, and they give you the script, and you follow the script. So they're never going to find this, what the American people are looking for, because all the American people want is someone to mean what they say and say what they mean. That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
They just do the dumbest. They want to put the color of your skin as your most important quality. Whether you sit down or stand up or pee is a quality. That's irrelevant. People don't want manly man and womanly or whatever the hell their stuff is. They just want a decent human being who will make good decisions and give Cat a freaking gun.
Yeah. I would also actually say I would never vote for a woman who stands to pee. Because they get it everywhere and ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah, stop hovering.
Stop hovering. If we would just all sit, we all could sit.
That's right.
That's a good campaign strategy.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.